everybody. This is Sister Modupe. Sister Modupe's Raw Vegan Soul Food Show, and I know what you're saying. First of all, you know I'm excited. Second of all, what is she playing that music for, huh? I know it's a throwback for some, and for some, woo, you just haven't heard it before. But I have a fantastic tie-in with that music. That's right. It's easy as ABC 1, 2, 3. We're talking about protein. You know, when you say you're a vegan, especially say you're a raw vegan, you know the first thing people say, where do you get your protein? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today. And I played Jackson 5's ABC to tell you it's as easy as ABC 1, 2, 3. Protein, getting your protein is not a problem. As a vegetarian, as a vegan, it's not a problem. So we're going to talk today about how you get your protein, what protein's made of, how the body uses it, and some of the myths that are out there regarding protein, all right? So first of all, let us understand that a lot of this stuff that people are eating when they decide to either become vegetarians or vegans for a day, for a week, for the rest of their life, whatever, these things are not whole foods. They're not even real foods, and you'll see that there's a whole lot of chemicals and such in them. That's why I tell you, eat foods that come in their original wrappers, you know, like inside an apple peel, inside a banana skin, things like that, so you know what you're getting. So take a look. I don't make this stuff up. You'll find, you do some searching on the internet, that there have been a lot of unhealthy things found in a lot of these pre-made, these soy burgers. They're full of wheat, they're full of soy, and they're full of a lot of other things because they're trying to give you some flavor, some color, some texture. That burger, that soy burger, is not anything like that soybean. It doesn't look anything like that bean or the wheat that it started out as, okay? So therefore, you know it went through a lot of processing, and a lot of things are put into it to even keep it stable, right? In the freezer or wherever. So we don't want to be filling ourselves up with that and thinking that's nutrition, all right? We want to talk about things that are nutritious, things you can pronounce, things like hexane. They can tell you how safe it is, but do you really want to be eating that, right? You're looking for vitamins and minerals and nutrients like that. You don't want hexane, okay? And it's just not something good for the body. So take a look, rethink these things. MSG, you know, a lot of people found out that when they were eating like Chinese food and all that type of thing, and they were getting these awful headaches after they ate and stuff, they found out that it was the MSG. And so some natural Himalayan salt, sea salt, whatever, those salts can bring out the flavor without overdoing it of your food. I'm not talking about using that table salt stuff. Other things, look at these ingredients on here. You just wanted a sandwich. Did you want 24 things that you couldn't pronounce or either understand or that you didn't need for the day, like added sugar and things like that? So we want to make sure that we're eating whole foods, right? Whether you're looking for your protein, your vitamins, your minerals, whatever, okay? So like I say, a lot of people transition diets. They're trying to go from meat eating to maybe vegetarian or vegan. A lot of times they grab these burgers, these imitation meats, meat analogs they're called, and they're just full of a lot of stuff that is not whole food or even real food. And we're going to learn how to keep getting real, whether you're looking, again, for protein, whatever nutrition you're looking for, make sure it's real nutrition. So that's why today I'm going to cover protein. All right, so we're going to really understand what protein is made out of, okay? So I like how this guy on this website talks about it. He calls it like protein parts. You hear this thing about amino acids, right? And he describes it kind of like Legos, you know, the Lego sets kids use to put together their blocks, plastic blocks, and they can put them together to make all kinds of configurations of buildings or tractors or whatever, some simple scenes and such. Well, that's kind of how proteins are. Proteins are these individual little molecules or blocks called amino acids, and they get combined. Your body combines them to make quote unquote protein. And protein, well, what's so important about protein? We're always told, make sure you get enough protein. Well, you need protein so that the body can build and maintain and muscle and things like that. But in America, people get plenty of protein. Matter of fact, they get too much. So here again, he talks about essential amino acids. Now, he's saying that there's 21 that we need, but our body makes about 12 of them. There's 9 of them that they call essential amino acids. So it's 21 amino acids, but 12 of them our bodies can make. 9 of them are called essential because our bodies can't make those, right? So that's why we take food into the body, because we take in things we can't make, and we also supply ourselves with things like for energy and things like that. So where do these amino acids come from? He's got a picture here, right? He's showing you different types of meat, but also different types of plant material. So high protein foods include, he doesn't just say meat, cheese, and eggs. High protein foods include nuts, spinach, asparagus, beans, Brussels sprouts. So several of those things are green, and we're always emphasizing the green foods, right? But also things like other colorful foods, like things like, believe it or not, something like tomatoes and fruits. They don't have a lot, but they have some protein. So all living foods, all live foods have protein. That's what makes them live, different from a rock. Okay, so now this next chart shows you some information about common foods that have protein in them that people think. So like I mentioned, fruits have protein in them, but they just don't have as high a quantity as, say, a steak. But see, the protein content of these various foods he shows, look at nuts and seeds, grains, vegetables, beans. This is on average. And look at the bottom. It says that on the low end in a day, we need 2.5% of our diet, or the way you're eating, your lifestyle, of protein, up to maybe 11% on the high end. So say someone who's an athlete, they may have a need for more because they're very active. But if you're sitting still in front of a computer all day or something like that, you don't need that much. But if you notice in that chart, it says that even on the low end, like you say, fruit doesn't have a lot of protein in it, but it has about an average of 6.7% protein, right? So all the time people are saying you can only get protein from meat. That's just not true. So again, our need in calories from protein is anywhere from 2.5% to 11%, right? So that means there's a whole lot of other things that we need to be consuming: carbohydrates, fats, things like that. Okay, so even the U.S. government's recommendation of 5 to 11% of protein of our calories from protein, even fruit fits that. Okay, so it's not that you have to eat these quote-unquote concentrated sources of what people erroneously have called complete proteins, but we have to eat a variety of foods and make sure that we are eating things that are nutritious. In other words, packaged things out of cans, frozen pizza, all those kinds of things are not nutritious things for us. They're not whole, real foods. And so we can get plenty of protein from a variety of vegetables and non-meat sources that are good for us and good to the body. Now, you'll notice here that in this chart, people have erroneously over the years said that fruits and vegetables and things like that aren't complete proteins. But remember, there are only 9 of the 21 essential amino acids that proteins are made into from that we can't make. 9 of them. So these are the 9 essential proteins, essential amino acids, excuse me. These are the 9 essential amino acids that are contained in all of these non-meat sources. And so vegetables and such are complete proteins. They have all the proteins in them that our bodies can't make. The other 12 proteins our body makes. So even look at things like a green pepper. It has all 9 of the essential amino acids that are needed to make complete proteins in our body, by our bodies. It has them. Even carrots, broccoli, all of those things. They don't, no food, none of the vegetable foods have all 21, but they do have all 9 of the essential amino acids to make complete proteins in our body. So when we look further down the chart, down in this article, we can see that studies and experts confirm that plant proteins are complete. Like I said, for years and years and years, people have been saying that non-meat sources are not complete proteins, and they are. Okay, do some research. You know, these textbooks and research studies, the reason they keep searching over and over, research, is because they keep finding either new information or they have to correct information that they thought they had correct before, or they thought they had right, or they had the complete picture. But more new information is coming forward that shows us that we need to understand that no, you don't have to eat complementary foods together, all that kind of thing, to get complete proteins. Now, 7 things that you may not have been aware of that happen when you stop eating meat. I found that this was a really interesting article too. So we're going to scan down a little bit and look at one of the first things. Let's look at that notice there. Even if you are a long-term vegan or vegetarian, it is still a great idea to stay informed on the plethora, it means just a whole lot of different things, of benefits that this lifestyle is bringing to you, right? So this article is not only for those who are on this path already, it's for other people too. So look at number 1. How many people out there don't want to reduce inflammation in your body? So we're talking about, when you talk about your aching, your joints, or a muscle, or your back aching, things like that, that's inflammation. Now, unless you have an actual infection, it's inflammation. So look at there, everything from diabetes, eye disorders, all of them are related to inflammation. And when you you can decide to eat one source of protein or another, but unfortunately that you will find that a lot of the meat eating lifestyles cause a lot of inflammation. It also causes a lot of acid in the body. So another wonderful good thing that happens is that your blood cholesterol levels will plummet. You will not have that excess cholesterol. Now, let's understand, cholesterol is not a bad word. It's not a bad thing. Your brain is mostly made out of cholesterol. We're going to stay on this point for a moment. Your blood, your hormones are made out of cholesterol. That's right. The basis for your hormones is cholesterol. So cholesterol is not a bad word. Your body produces it. It needs it. But when you have excess cholesterol floating around in your blood, then that means there's some kind of inflammation. Something is happening in the body that is causing it to overproduce cholesterol, and it can cause clogging in the blood. It tries to also repair places where you have a weakened heart vessels and things like that. But what happens, unfortunately, is then that vessel starts to get hard, because that's kind of like plaster trying to strengthen an area that's weakened. And it also reduces the diameter of your blood vessel. So now your blood pressure goes up, because the same amount of blood now has to get through a artery or vein to a part of the body, but it has a smaller space to get through to. So that's when the heart starts having to pump harder. Okay, so we don't want to eat things that are going to cause unnecessarily high amounts of cholesterol in the blood. So plant-based eating helps to alleviate that. Next, guess what? Your microbiome gets a makeover when you don't eat the flesh like that. We have bacteria that we cannot live without. It's on our skins, it's in our intestinal tract. There's beneficial bacteria, and we can't live without some of them because of the processes they help our body do. So we have to understand that there's good bacteria and bad bacteria, and when you eat a plant-based lifestyle, then you help to feed the good bacteria in the body so that it will be there, available and strong, and outnumber the bad bacteria. Nobody's going to have a body where they don't have some bad quote-unquote bacteria, but keeping the amounts of good bacteria up in your body are very good for keeping the bad numbers low. Guess what? You'll change how your genes work. Isn't that fabulous? Change how your genes work. In other words, you're going to improve how they operate, because we can be born with weakened areas in our body or genes that aren't exactly correct or normalized, but guess what? You don't have to aggravate them, right? You don't have to aggravate that situation. So if you stay away from alcohol, get plenty of rest, eat the things that help the body function and stay strong, those are the things that a plant-based diet can help with. So changing your genes and to work even better for you, that's a winner. Number 5, you'll dramatically reduce your chances of getting type 2 diabetes. I did a presentation yesterday at a senior home facility, and almost everybody there had diabetes. So it's an avoidable condition. And in our community, the largest the largest growing group of diabetics in our community are children under the age of 12. Now that is shameful to me. I mean, because they're going to start out, they haven't even gone through puberty yet, and now they're dealing with diabetes. That's very hard on the body. That's almost a guarantee to end up with needing dialysis in not too long, far future. So we can avoid all those types of things by eating much better and keeping our blood sugar in a good balance so that our body doesn't become overpowered and broken down by the excess amounts of sugar and starch and things like that in the body. So next, we're looking at if you get the right amount and the right type of protein, your body will function so much more optimally, okay? So when you're eating meats, the thing with eating flesh is that it carries a lot of sulfur. So that's one thing most plant material doesn't have, is a tremendous amount of sulfur in the amino acids. And that sulfur causes a lot of acidic condition in the body. So it's kind of like, have you ever heard of them taking a baby tooth and putting it in some Coca-Cola? In X number of days, that tooth will be gone. It'll be eaten up because the Coca-Cola is so acidic. And just imagine if your blood is acidic all the time, it's going to be breaking things down. Your body is designed to be just slightly alkaline, around 7.3, maybe a little under that, so that your body, your organs, your blood and things stay at the right kind of what they call pH, not too acidic, staying alkaline, just slightly alkaline. That's the healthy fluid that your body needs to be bathed in. That keeps your bones strong, your teeth strong, all your muscles and tissues strong. And last but not least, we want to look at our impact on the planet. So in terms of how much, say grain, how much grain is grown, do you know the vast majority of grain is fed to animals, not to people? We have people starving on the planet. So you're like, okay, well, why is all the grain being fed to the animals? Well, because to raise a cow, it takes a lot of grain, at least the way they feed the animals, because they're not free roaming and being fed grass on grassland and such, which actually their body is designed for. So that fattens up the cow, and that actually fattens you up. And again, the flesh-based diet is one that is very acidic to the body and overwhelms the body. So you end up taking in a lot more protein than you need. And of course, the animals produce a lot more manure than humans do, et cetera, et cetera. So our effect on the planet is very, very much more kind of a tearing down situation, whereas when we grow more plant material, we help with our air, we help not to be creating so much manure, and then even the fuels and such it takes to raise an animal, process it, and transport it. It's a lot. It has a big negative effect on the planet in terms of using up resources and causing pollutant and greenhouse gases, etc. So I want to recap and remind you that protein is easy as A, B, C, 1, 2, 3, like the Jacksons were singing, right? So it is not hard to get protein. It is very easy to get protein. You eat a good combination and variety of vegetables and fruits, and you're set. Matter of fact, obesity is one of the big reasons we have a big problem with obesity in America, is because people are eating too much protein. They're eating too many calories. And when you eat overwhelming amounts of food like that in terms of calories and in terms of carbohydrates and things, then the body can't burn it and it has to store it. And you have to carry it around like, kind of like how a truck transports things. You've got to carry all that excess baggage, and it's very hard on the organs. It's hard on the joints. It's hard on the organs. So we do not get enough protein in America. We get way too much, and it's very hard on the body. So now I wanted to also share some recipe ideas with you on ways to make protein-filled, delicious, easy-to-make dishes. So let's start with talking. Remember I mentioned asparagus was one of the ones in one of those articles that they mentioned as high protein, a place to get asparagus. How many people would have thought that, huh? So let me tell you about a soup recipe I shared with the group yesterday. So I actually, in front of the group, prepared an asparagus soup, and it was so creamy. I love it. And when you make something like a raw vegan soup, you could actually make it thinner and use it as a dressing by adding, say, lemon juice in it or something, or you can make it even thicker and use it as a dip. So let me tell you about the simple ingredients it takes to make this asparagus soup. Now, you can make it in a blender, but you're going to have to make it thinner because the blender is designed to deal with more liquids. One of my favorite tools in the kitchen is a food processor. Now, if you're not making large meals, maybe you're making them for 1 or 2 people, you don't have to get a big food processor. You can get one that only holds a few cups because that might be the total capacity you need. Okay, so you're going to get some fresh, beautiful green asparagus. And asparagus right now, I don't know about the rest of the country, but we've got tons of it in the stores out here in California right now. You're going to get a bunch of asparagus, and then you're going to also get avocado. So about 12 spears of asparagus, 1 to 2 avocados, depending on how rich you want it, maybe half a package of mushrooms, and make sure those mushrooms are organic. It would be best to have all these ingredients organic, but make sure you don't eat any mushrooms that aren't organic. They absorb so much from the soil that if there's anything in that soil that you're not wanting to eat, those mushrooms can pick it up, so you don't want to include any non-organic mushrooms. An onion, and then a little salt and pepper, and that's it. And it's delicious. So you just clean and chop up that asparagus, put it in the food processor. Water. I forgot the water. I knew it was another ingredient. So for this particular soup recipe, you use about 3 cups of water. So anyway, start with the asparagus, chop up the asparagus, put it in the food processor, maybe about 12 spears of asparagus, about half a package of mushrooms, wipe those off, chop it up, put it in the food processor, an onion, and for a different flavor, sometimes I like to use red onions if I want a sweeter onion. If I want, say I'm making salsa, I'll use a white onion because the white onion will stay crisper. But yesterday I used some green onions. It's because I wanted that nice green flavor. We're making this real green, because you know what we say, if you're green inside, you're clean inside. So let's recap. Asparagus now is chopped up in the food processor. You've got your half package of mushrooms chopped up, put it in the food processor. Some onion. So if you're using a bulb head of onion, I'd say half of an onion. Chop that up, put it in there. If you're using the green onions, maybe 2, 3 of the spears of the scallion. Or you can use the Mexican whitehead green tail onion, 1 or 2 of those. And then, let's see what else. The water. The avocado. So you want to cut the avocado in half, split it open, take out the seed, scoop out the flesh, and start out with 1 whole avocado. If they're small, you can start out with 2. And then you're going to start the food processor and pour 1 cup of water in, then 2 cups of water. And then what I like to do, I always tell people, don't try and make a whole batch of something all at once. Taste it as you're making it so that you can keep it to the texture you want. You can keep it to the flavors you want, to the thickness, all of that. So open that food processor up, and at this point, taste it. You're going to want to start adding some salt, maybe some cayenne pepper. If you do black pepper, a little black pepper, and start flavoring it up. If it's as thick as you want, then don't add any more water or avocado. If you want it thinner, go on and add another half cup of water. Maybe you want it, if you want it thicker, you can add another half avocado and blend that until you get it where you want it. Sometimes I like to save some of the heads of the asparagus so that I can have another texture in that soup, so you get a little crunchy, chewiness, but you might just want a plain, thin or thick, smooth soup. And believe you me, it is delicious. It's got such a plethora of flavors. It's just such a variety of flavors in there between the green avocado and the onion flavor and the mushrooms. Now, yesterday I did have a person or two who weren't fans of mushrooms, and mushrooms are a special flavor to enjoy, right? So, and we're having them raw, so it wasn't like they were browned in some oil or something like that. So if you're not a mushroom lover, you can either decrease the amount of mushrooms you put in there or just leave them out totally, and you'll just again have a rich, smooth soup. Now, this same soup, like I said, can serve several purposes, or this same mixture, the same recipe can serve several purposes. So if you want to make it into a salad dressing, you can either use some flavored vinegar to thin it out and make it a little more savory for a dressing for a salad, or you can use some lemon juice or lime juice, or even just take a part of the soup and say a cup out of it and use it and do those things to it to make it into a salad dressing. The other thing you can do is make it into a marinade, so that you can thin it out and use it as a marinade for, say, or a dressing for, say, a broccoli salad dish, or if you do tempeh, you could soak some tempeh in it, things like that. So you'd want to leave it overnight so that it could really soak up the flavors. But it's such a delicious and easy recipe to make, and very versatile, very green. You say you haven't been eating enough greens in the last day or two, go on and try that recipe and you'll really make up for it, okay? Another simple, quick recipe we did was one with beets. That's right, live, delicious, organic whole beets. So I think I used about 3 or 4 whole beets. I chopped them up, put them in the food processor. I crushed some live garlic cloves, 2 or 3. If you're a garlic lover like I am, you might crush about 3 of them in there. And then you want to spin them to crush up, to grate up, to blend up the beets as fine as you like it. So, you turn on that food processor, let it go for a few seconds, stop it, and then taste it. See if it's at the texture you want. Some people like things real chewy, so you want to grate it or grind it up not as small. Some people like things almost smooth. So it's up to you to decide on how long you want that blender to spin. I keep saying blender, the food processor to spin. And then I take the beets and the garlic out of the food processor, put it in a bowl, add a little salt, maybe some cayenne pepper if you'd like, and add some organic pickle relish, a sweet pickle relish. Now you might add a couple tablespoons, 3 tablespoons, depending on how sweet you want it and the flavor of the pickle relish. It would mix with the beets, and then I put in some vegetables. So this is a creamy, delicious dish. I wouldn't say sit and eat a huge bowl, because I'm not going to say it's low fat, but remember, you need some fat, some good fats. Now, you don't have to use the vegetables, and I use the grapeseed one. You don't have to use that. You can actually use a creamy avocado. So you could smash up an avocado, maybe put a little lemon juice in it if you want, and use that as your dressing in this beet dish. It's simple, it's delicious, everybody loved it. Matter of fact, I had somebody coming up front wanted to lick the bowl. But again, it's a simple way to get a very, very nutritious, delicious dish in, okay? So, 2 fabulous recipes. Listen to this again so that you can sit and maybe even have it playing while you're in the kitchen putting it together. Enjoy. Thank you so much. I love you. I look forward to you joining me for the next show. Sistah Modupe's Raw Vegan Soul Food Show. And don't forget to go check our fabulous sponsor, All-in-One Press Kit. We thank them again for sponsoring the show. Go check that website. You can find out how to put together a fabulous website and have all the social media buttons on there, everything from Facebook, Gmail, YouTube, everything in one place. Take a look at my website, rawvegansoulfood.com, rawvegansoulfood.com, and you'll see a really, really well put together website that has all the social media buttons on it. I love sending people there because I know they can find out everything they want to see and know about what I'm doing and what I'm offering, okay? So until next time, you'll also find on my website how to go and register for the food prep class in April. Go take a look, www.rawvegansoulfood.com. Love you. This is Sister Modupe. Sister Modupe's Raw Vegan Soul Food Show. I can't wait to join you next time. Peace and love.
Easy, easy.